Hello, citizens! Welcome back, where today we're diving into the realm of multi-battle chaos from the two of the biggest shonen juggernauts in anime history, Dragon Ball Super's Tournament of Power versus One Piece's Raid on Onigashima. Which one did it better when it came to juggling multiple fights at once? And how did the main characters Goku and Luffy stack up in these epic clashes? Enough of my yapping. Sit tight, grab some popcorn, and get ready as we unravel the madness starting with the Tournament of Power. First off, let's talk Dragon Ball Super's Tournament of Power. Now, when you think of chaotic free-for-all battles, this arc immediately springs to mind. 80 fighters, 10 universes, one ring, an elimination match on a cosmic scale. The pacing is relentless, and there's no shortage of action as battles rage across the arena simultaneously. Now, the Tournament of Power had some big moments for the main cast. Goku's battle with Jiren, specifically in the 1-hour special, episode 109 to 110, stole the spotlight with his Ultra Instinct transformation. But while Goku is the star, the show doesn't forget about its side characters. Characters like Gohan, Android 17, and Frieza all get significant moments to shine. But here's the thing. Despite the massive amount of fighters, Dragon Ball Super often condensed the action into focusing on Goku in the top-tier battles. The result? Other character moments sometimes got lost in the chaos and were glossed over, like with fighters from Universe 9 or Universe 4. However, when the focus hits the big battles like Vegeta vs. Toppo in episode 126, it felt somewhat impactful, despite them doing Vegeta committing death in Minecraft again, but worse than the Buu Saga version, which is far superior. The tournament was all about escalation, with the spotlight shifting toward the most powerful battles as the weaker fighters were eliminated, obviously. Now, let's do some comparing to One Piece's Raid on Onigashima. Unlike the confined arena of Tournament of Power, Onigashima is a sprawling battlefield spread across an entire island. Here it's not just about one battle, but multiple conflicts occurring in different locations simultaneously. From Luffy's struggle against Kaido, which intensifies around episode 1015, to Zoro vs. King and Sanji vs. Queen in episodes 1042, One Piece excels at shifting focus between its main cast and secondary characters. What's interesting about the Raid on Onigashima is how Oda manages to balance a ton of ongoing battles without losing momentum. Sure, Luffy vs. Kaido is the central fight, but characters like Zoro, Sanji, Kid, and Law all get their time to shine in episodes that feel like full mini boss battles within a larger war, although the latter wasn't much of a battle, but I digress. Kid and Law. The Straw Hats each take on their own individual challenges while building toward the larger climax. Though all Straw Hats weren't created equal and suffered from not having any fights at all this arc. In Dragon Ball Super, the goal is to be the last universe standing. The Tournament of Power thrives on tension that escalates from every episode somewhat, building towards Goku's final Ultra Instinct showdown. But at times, the tournament arena could feel a bit too linear. Side characters got their moments, sure, but the real focus was always on Goku and the strongest opponents. Sometimes the rapid pacing meant characters were eliminated without enough screen time, leaving certain universes like Universe 9 underdeveloped. One Piece, on the other hand, juggles its cast with more balance. In episodes like 1027 and 1031, we get intense one-on-one matchups. They are spread out across the raid, making it feel like a true all-out brawl. The raid shows us that One Piece is all about teamwork, with characters like Yamato stepping up to protect Luffy, and even secondary characters like Marco or the Scabbards having vital roles to play. However, this variety can sometimes hurt the pacing of One Piece. Due to the sheer number of subplots, there are moments where certain battles feel drawn out, and the story gets fragmented, especially when the focus shifts away from Luffy. The slower pacing can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, we get more development for side characters, but on the other hand, it can slow the momentum of the main fight. Now, let's talk about the main characters Luffy and Goku. In the Tournament of Power, Goku's journey is all about pushing past his limits. The Ultra Instinct moment in episode 110 remains one of the most hyped transformations in Dragon Ball history, next to the original Super Saiyan, of course. His growth during the tournament is tied directly to the stakes of the entire universe being on the line. A very big missed opportunity is the Master Roshi death could have been a huge character moment for Goku and show him this tournament isn't fun and games. People are dying and risking their lives here. But let's check in on Luffy's journey. During the Onigashima raid, Luffy's journey is about leadership and responsibility. In episodes like 10-15, we see him not only fighting Kaido, but also trying to unite allies and inspire hope. Luffy's growth isn't just about strength, it's about learning to carry the weight of others that believe in him. Alright, let's talk about the teamwork dynamics in both arcs. Starting with Dragon Ball Super's Tournament of Power, Universe 7's teamwork is one of the strongest aspects of the arc. Characters who traditionally would not fight together are forced to team up and fight as one cohesive unit to survive. Take, for example, episode 121, when we see Universe 7 working together to defeat Onigashima. It took a huge combination attack just to finish him off quick. Side note, Onigashima is very similar to Cell Max being huge mindless threats with a core weakness. Get it? Core weakness? No one likes my jokes. Despite their vastly different power levels and personalities, they complement each other and play off each other's strengths. That's something that the Tournament of Power should have focused more on. You have characters like Android 17, who's more calculated, blending his skills with the overwhelming strength of Goku. It's the forced collaboration that makes the arc dynamic, as it's less about individual battles and more about the survival of the group. Well, that's what they wanted us to think. Initially, on Onigashima, the Straw Hats are fighting their individual battles, but as the raid progresses, their paths intersect, and the intensity increases as they start helping one another. One of the stand-up moments of teamwork happens when Zoro and Luffy take on Kaido and Big Mom together. Zoro's role in protecting Luffy with his insane attack on Kaido in episode 10-17 really highlights how much the Straw Hat crew are in sync. In contrast to the Tournament of Power, in Onigashima, we see that while the Straw Hats have incredible individual skills, the real strength of the raid comes from their trust in their crew and putting their trust in each other, surpassing overwhelming odds, though Usopp was really close to breaking that synergy when faced with. Another interesting point of comparison is how both series handled eliminations and deaths during the battles. In the Tournament of Power, the stakes are immediate. When all characters from a universe loses, their universe faces erasure. It's a very literal high-stakes environment. For instance, look at episode 118 when Universe 2 and Universe 6 are erased. It's a sobering moment when you realize that even beloved characters like Hit, Kappa, and Kale can be wiped from existence. It was also a good character moment for Beerus, seeing his brother get wiped from existence in an instant. The sense of loss is almost palpable, and we're constantly reminded that the consequences are dire. Well, dire for now, I should say. In Onigashima, however, the tone around eliminations or potential deaths is different. One Piece doesn't deal with immediate erasure like in Dragon Ball Super, but it plays with the threat of loss differently. Look at the death of characters like Izo or Ashura Doji. These are heavy moments, especially since we've been with these characters through the entire Wano arc, and we've known Izo since Marineford. When they fall during the raid, it carries emotional weight not only for the viewers, but for the characters on screen. Unlike the Tournament of Power, where eliminations happen fast and furious, Onigashima takes time to let these losses breathe, making each death feel more permanent and impactful, well, when they actually happen. I'm looking at you, Kinemon! Another thing we need to talk about is how each series balances power scaling and the ever-present question of who's the strongest. Yep, we're talking about power scaling. This is gonna be fun! In Dragon Ball Super's Tournament of Power, power scaling is wild. We're talking about Goku reaching Ultra Instinct, Jiren being introduced as this absolute powerhouse is on a completely different level compared to the god of a destruction, and Frieza just hanging in there with his new golden form, which gave Super Saiyan God a run for its money. The show tends to throw power scaling out the window for the sake of epic battles. The idea that Goku, who struggled with Jiren early on, could suddenly break through the walls with Ultra Instinct, a power that quite literally out of this world, or multiversal plus omniversal 4D. On the flip side, in One Piece, power scaling is a bit more grounded, relatively speaking. While Luffy's Gear 4th and the new Haki techniques introduced in Wano make him much stronger, there's still a clear progression. In episode 10-15, one of the best anime episodes in anime history, but that's a video for another day. When Luffy lands that first hit on Kaido using his advanced Conqueror's Haki Ryo that he learned in the land of Wano, it feels like the culmination of his training, his journey, and everything the people he met here means to him. Unlike Dragon Ball, where power-ups happen mid-battle more or less, One Piece takes the time to build up Luffy's new abilities, so that when he reaches this level, it feels earned. Well, there is an outlier, that being Gear 5th. Gear 5th is one of the most interesting anime power-ups to date, especially in a grounded series like One Piece. It takes Luffy's goofy personality and dials it up to 11. Add that with the Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes shenanigans, Now contrast that to Ultra Instinct though, a lot of people have already done that. It's much deeper than black versus white or white versus white. Well, I guess it depends what hair color Goku feels like using anyway. Ultra Instinct is Goku pushing past his limits to not have his friends and family wiped away from existence. Gear 5th is Luffy's overcoming death and breaking past his limits in a way that could feel like plot armor. Goku versus Jiren, the strongest in the universe, this battle represents Goku's growth beyond raw power, emphasizing mastery over mind and body, which becomes crucial in facing Jiren's relentless might. Jiren, a member of the Pride Troopers from Universe 11, is the strongest mortal in the multiverse, surpassing even the gods of destruction and raw power. Throughout the Tournament of Power, Jiren demonstrates his incredible strength, speed, and endurance, overwhelming nearly every opponent. The visual spectacle of the fight, with Goku's silver aura and Jiren's massive energy blasts, highlights their status as the two strongest fighters in the Tournament of Power. On the other hand, One Piece presents its own clash of titans with Gear 5th Luffy facing against Kaido, the strongest creature in the world. Kaido, a Yonko, possesses godlike strength and a nearly indestructible body, enhanced by his mythical Zone Devil fruits, which allows him to transform into a dragon. His immense physical power, combined with his mastery of all three types of Haki, makes him an almost unstoppable force. Kaido has a reputation for surviving impossible situations and holds dominion over Wano with fear and brute strength. The battle between Luffy and Kaido is as much about breaking down Kaido's near invincible aura as it is about pushing Luffy's limits as a fighter. Gear 5th Luffy's combat style contrasts with Kaido's brute force, allowing him to adapt and counter in ways that seem impossible, like running on air and enlarging his fist to massive proportions, you know, like a cartoon. Both battles pit the protagonists against beings considered the peak of power in their worlds. Goku's fight with Jiren has a sense of destiny, testing his ability to break past mortal limitations, while Luffy's battle against Kaido represents his role as a liberator, using his newfound abilities to bring down tyranny. The catalyst for Goku unlocking Ultra Instinct was the explosion of Spirit Bomb, allowing Goku to break through his own shield. The catalyst for Gear 5th, however, was for Luffy to see the Grim Reaper. No, wait, that was Zoro. Speaking of Zoro, he unlocked the Conqueror's Haki and growth of characters like Sanji, getting a power-up through the use of the Raid Suit. That brings us to another key point, pacing. The Tournament of Power takes place over 48 minutes of in-universe time, but it spans 33 episodes. This means that while it's packed with action, the pacing can feel both rushed and dragged at different moments. We get whole episodes dedicated to certain characters while other fights are glossed over. For example, the fight between Gohan and Dispo is given a good amount of attention in episode 124, but other characters like Tien or Krillin get eliminated rather quickly. Get it? Since Dispo's whole thing is... The tournament arc is relentless, but the sheer number of fighters sometimes means sacrifices in character depth. Gohan was supposed to have a deeper story in this tournament arc as seen in Ending 9, but for some reason, it was scrapped. Well, Gohan got his own CGI movie, so that makes up for it. Alright? The androids were handled surprisingly well, though. Android 18 went out horribly. In contrast, One Piece's Onigashima raid spans dozens of episodes and still feels like it's just getting started at times, sometimes in a bad way. Even characters like Robin, who doesn't get any fights in recent arcs, has her shining moment against Black Maria in episode 1044, which shows how much she's grown in both skill and confidence. Her embracing her demon side and using it as a strength is very good character writing. Well, which one of this anime arcs come out on top? Huh? Tournament of Power introduced the sheer scale of the fights. The introduction of new forms like Ultra Instinct and its high stakes of universe erasure make it a thrill ride from start to finish. Though what hurt it in the end, like I hinted at before, is the fact that none of it was permanent. All the universes got brought back. It's one thing if Android 17 to wish back all the universe, but what completely ruins this is the Grand Priest and Omni Kings were already planning on bringing everybody back anyways. Yeah, that's a massive issue where it feels like nothing mattered and there's no tension at all. Kid Buu is a threat to the universe and Cell could destroy an entire solar system. One of the many things that Onigashima and One Piece in general excels at more than Dragon Ball Super is the character-driven battles, where each fight feels personal, and the characters' emotional journeys are just as important as the punches they throw. One Piece's Onigashima raid eggs out ahead. Unlike the Tournament of Power, there are stakes and consequences. If the Straw Hats do lose compared to Universe 7 getting off scot-free, there was death in Wano, albeit some of them were fake outs. Ironically, how One Piece's raid started with teamwork, it ended on Luffy finally defeating Kaido on his own for the last half of the fight. While Goku, Frieza, and Android 17 all worked together to defeat Jiren, which is a sentence I never thought I would say, but it was pretty freaking cool. I want to know, what do you think though? Which one do you think handles multiple battles better? Do you prefer the frantic energy of Dragon Ball Super or the more methodical pacing of One Piece's Onigashima? Let me know in the comments below. And with that, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, be sure to like and subscribe. Until then, Gear 5.